one of the players got into a heated argument about the minutia of XP systems in games and how it should be distributed. And they're not talking to each other anymore. So everyone's just kind of awkwardly sitting at the GM's kitchen table, fucking playing their Switch or something. So session's canceled.
The enthusiasm clear in your voice.
What? Am I supposed to shout the intro?
I mean, you were just like, and this shit happened, I guess.
I mean, I was kind of putting you on blast, so I was expecting you to.
Wow. I mean, I figured, but wow.
I was expecting you to like jump in there and say something.
I mean, I was like, what do I look like, Matt to you? But it's fine.
Yes, you do.
Damn.
Actually, you're not as ostrich shaped as Matt is, though.
No, correct. I am not ostrich shaped. I stand my ground firmly.
Man's ability to just fill his brain cavity with sand is impressive. I'm really gonna hold him to. I really can't get over. I don't understand how this game works, or I don't understand how this works. What works? The game. Did you read it? No. What?
Wait. What? When did he say that?
Do you not remember this?
Are you talking about when he was trying to learn Dungeon World?
No, he was talking about Draw Steel.
Oh no, I do not remember this now.
He was like posting the art or whatever, and he was like, oh yeah, the game's out. He was like, I have no fucking clue what's going on, but the art's cool. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know what's going on, Matt? He was like, with the game, I have no idea what's going on in the game. I'm like, did you read it? And he was like, no. I was like, so then why would you? What? How do you not remember? I can't believe you don't remember this conversation.
I don't know. I feel like he meant like what the game is about.
No, he literally said he didn't read it, so he didn't understand how the game worked. Like, that's straight up what he said. Me and Sam put him on blast. You can scroll back in the chat.
Hold on.
It's right there.
We're doing this live.
In the old, it's in the old chat because he keeps posting shit in the old one and forgetting not to use it. It's right there.
Oh, it's literally right there. You know, if you want
he said,
PS,
like,
JK,
I don't.
Here you go. Back to Kickstarter. Art is very cool. Although I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
You mean you don't know what's going on? I don't understand the rules. I haven't read the rules yet. My brother in Christ. Art is pretty dope. Sam said, I feel like there needs to be a counter whenever Matt doesn't read something. I think it'd overflow into a negative if it were retroactive, though.
Like, there's digging your head into the sand, and then there's just, no, I will not read. You're like, what? Then how are you gonna, you did, okay. And again, this is a game he backed on Kickstarter.
I think that's the
real
impressive part.
yeah, that's
he backed it.
He backed it on Kickstarter. That's arguably the most important bit.
Oh my goodness.
So like, yeah, I don't know. Do with that what you will.
Oh Matt, you so silly.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Matt not reading Draw Steel, we have read Draw Steel, although admittedly not all of it yet.
I actually have read more than he has.
Most of it. We're like 80% of the way through. We're not finishing it today. Surprise! I knew that wasn't happening. I knew it in my heart. But we have read the book, and we are going to continue talking about said book that we did read. And this makes it sound like I'm making a joke that we didn't, but we did actually. I'm not. This is not a facetious thing.
I did get farther in it than I thought I would, but again, I did a lot of like, okay, this is exactly like 5e. Okay, this is fine. All right, this is exactly 5e. Okay, this is fine. Oh, that's new. Okay, cool, that's new.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I went out of my way to be pretty like, try to catch the minutia bits, just because this game kind of exists on the minutia. Like on the broad strokes, it is a, D&D-esque heroic fantasy game on like the high level, and the minutia is where you actually notice The minutia is where you see the value in the product, if you will. You know what I mean? Because if you're just like it is fantasy game where I fight monsters, then like yes, it is fantasy game where you fight monsters. And if that's the only criteria you need, then yeah, you could just keep playing 5e or Pathfinder or whatever other fucking Shadow Dark or whatever. But yes, the distinctions here are relevant. Because this game is going for a vibe, and I think it executes quite strongly on that vibe, which I think is important. So, before we get back into all that hibbity hoobity hobbity ha, hee
Yeah?
Pause, take a moment, hit your best Michael Jackson, hee and then, I don't know why I did that.
I got it either.
Hit the follow, subscribe button on whatever fucking platform you're listening on right now. Right now. You don't actually have to pause or anything. Just hit the button. At the same time as listening. And when you do so, it will initiate a series of code. I don't know. I was gonna, for a moment there, I was like, should I just keep going on for like an uncomfortably long time? But I wasn't actually gonna commit to that.
Okay.
But I thought about it. There's a brief moment. All right, so where the fuck did we leave off? Last thing we talked about was advancement, and then we left off on ancestries. So this is where we get to the actual making your character stuff. And so ancestries in this game, if you are familiar with the older lingo, ancestries are your races in this game, or as D&D calls them, species now. I'm still really partial to ancestries. I think that's the better word amongst all the other options I have heard personally. So I'm happy they went with ancestries. How do I phrase it? So your character's like overall background is broken up a bit more than in D&D or something similar. I think Pathfinder actually 2nd edition does a similar thing to Draw Steel also, where your ancestry is like what you are physically. You know, it's like who your parents are dictating who you are kind of vibe. Your ethnicity, if you apply it to a more real world example. But your background is instead chopped up into culture and career, which are why can't I think of the word? Am I having a stroke?
Are you, lift both arms above your head?
I don't know. I think, yeah, arms up. Yeah.
Okay, so you're good.
They're not connected is the point I'm trying to make. Your ancestry, your culture, and your career are not connected. They are 3 distinct pieces that make up your character's overall background components when making your character. So, which means ancestries are not going to give you any kind of abilities that are culturally bound or would be based on whatever kind of career your character would have before. So instead, ancestries give you like weird, cool superpowers, basically. It's kind of what they end up being.
They do. They are pretty neat. And yeah. I'm really happy. I was using a character sheet, but it was on Google, like it was on Chrome, and then my computer updated and restarted, so I lost all that. But I am proud to say that even humans have some really cool shit going on.
Yeah, pretty much everyone has good shit. God damn, I'm really I'm jumping over into too many different directions and losing myself. There's 12 ancestries, in case you're curious. So you have an ample selection, I would say. We did not talk about the setting of the game just because it's a lot and I just didn't feel like going into all of it. More worried about the game itself. Obviously, we're going to have to explain some minutiae, like some bits of the setting stuff when you're talking about ancestries, because it's kind of hard not to, one is linked to the other. So 12 ancestries are humans, devils, polders, time raiders, the weird one,
Yeah.
orcs, woad elves.
I'm sorry, Time Raiders, legally distinct, what is it, Gith?
Sorta, yeah. Woad
They
elves.
look like Gith.
This one, not wood elves.
Woad, yes.
elves. W-O-D-E.
You don't see that word used very often anymore.
It's kind of an old English word. High elves, dragon knights, Memenex, which are also kind of the weirdos, dwarves, Hakons, and revenants. Quite a few of those are going to sound familiar, and then a couple of them are going to be a little odd. You can't really assume. Well, a couple of them, some of them you can assume kind of what the vibe is. The other ones, I would say less so. So we're just gonna go. They're set up in alphabetical order, so we're just gonna kind of go down by alphabetical order, which means we start with devils. Funny enough, there is a couple of pages on where some of the species come from, like what their origin
like a general
is.
cosmology,
yeah, like a cosmology origin thing. And then if you're curious about names, there's breakdowns of the different ancestries and how they use their names. And then the one that you're probably going to reference every once in a while is the measurements, which is to say, like, how tall, how much do they weigh, what's their life expectancy, averages. Those are all in there. Unless it specifically tells you otherwise from the ancestry, all ancestries are size 1 medium and have a speed of 5 and a stability of 0. This game does not use feet for distances and stuff like that. It uses literally just squares, like squares on the grid. So speed 5 means you move 5 squares. That's it.
Very 4E.
Yeah, very 4E, and I would say I'm mixed on if I like that or not, doing it that way.
Interesting. I feel like I remember you saying you liked that more.
Well, so I do, and I do. Like, I like the game not trying to pretend. Like, I like that the game is upfront about using a grid. Which 5e is kind of weird about and doesn't like to admit that it is played on a grid for some reason. But I don't know. I do sometimes want distance measurements, and this game does give you distance measurements. It literally says 1 square is a 5 foot cube on a side. So like if you do need to measure that distance out for some reason, you can, but it requires a little bit of conversion. So I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I go back and forth on it. I mean, my favorite games don't use any distance measurements of any kind, so there's that, you know? Or they use like really abstract different distances, like Dungeon World with the distance tags or Apocalypse World with the distance tags. So, you know, that's my most preferred method. But anyway, yeah. And then size 1M is you are a size 1 creature. You're a medium size 1 creature. The reason it says 1M is because size 1 covers a pretty wide range. Everything from a pixie up to like an 8 or 9 foot tall half giant man qualifies as size 1. So size 1 medium is like human size, and then like size 1 large would be like giant man sized, and then like size 1S is hobbit, and then size 1T is like pixie sized. So there's a little extra variation within the medium, within the size 1 category. The other categories do not. From there, it just goes size 2, size 3, size 4, size 5. There is no upper limit. This game very explicitly says there's no upper limit on sizing. Get as big as you want. All right. So first ancestry. So, as I said, the first one, because they're alphabetical, is devils. They're tieflings, more or less, with a little bit of a distinction lore-wise in that devils in the world of Draw Steel, which is to say the world of Orden and the Timescape, they're not people like cursed with devil blood, and so a human turns into a tiefling kind of thing. They're actually just devils from hell.
Yes, they are the children of devils from hell who got straight up stuck devils there.
Yeah,
and or you might not be the child. You might just be a devil who got stuck.
You might just be a devil who got stuck.
Now you're really pissed about it.
Yeah, you're just mad that you're stuck here. Yeah, like it's not because like tieflings in D&D, it'll be like, oh, you're born a human and you like manifest your tiefling shit, or like you were cursed as a young boy and then you got turned into a tiefling. You know, there's a little more like nuance there. Now these are just devils from hell.
The lore kind of hints at the way this happens is that someone summons a devil for like a demonic contract, but another devil ratted out that devil's name. Yeah. So they close the portal on them through some fuckery, and once the portal closes, you're stuck in Orden.
You're just stuck.
So it's just devils who are like literally doing the Dinkelberg.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that's funny too is it says one of the paragraphs, on rare occasion though, the summoning goes wrong and the supplicant dies before the deal can be struck, stranding the summoned devil on Orden permanently. Some stranded devils seek to return to hell, but most prefer life in Orden, where the phrase stabbed in the back by a colleague is usually a metaphor.
Yeah.
So some of them get stuck and they're like, I'll just hang around. That's fine.
Yeah, it's like they get over a refractory period of panic, where they're like, yeah, fuck it. It's whatever.
It's not that bad up here. Another interesting thing that they did with this, this is a Matt Colville explicit decision. Every species, and I think, do the classes have them? No. All of the ancestries have a little bit of fiction written about them or related to them that is attached to their chunk in the book. So they each have a little short story attached. I didn't take the time for the sake of speed. I didn't take the time to like read any of them, although I kind of like briefly looked over them. Although I believe I have listened to Matt Colville read a few of them on stream. And they're just fun little like fiction short stories that just add to the world and flesh things out. I kind of wish they committed to this idea more, to be honest, because the idea of a tabletop game where all of the fiction stuff is delivered via in-universe short stories only, I actually really like that concept and think that would be really sick. And I kind of wish they did it more.
Well, so do you know what game did this really well?
What?
Kane.
True.
Where it'll be like, oh, these are your things. Exorcists are not considered human due to the the Covenant of Worms in 1846, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yes, Kane does do a lot of that. So yeah, I love that they exist. I wish they did more of they did something more with it in Draw Steel, and maybe they will in the future. All right, so what does your ancestry dictate? You know, this is tabletop game. I want to know about my mechanics. What does your ancestry do? Basically gives you a couple of points. It gives you 3 points to spend, what they call ancestry points, on different traits, and they're kind of like little mini feats. Is kind of the easiest way I would put it. All of the ancestries start with a signature trait that you get automatically, and then you get your 3 points to spend on other bits. So the devil, you start with Silver Tongue. Your innate magic allows you to twist how your words are perceived to get a better read on people and convince them to see things your way. You have one skill of your choice from the interpersonal skill group, and you gain an edge on tests when attempting to discover an NPC's motivations and pitfalls during a negotiation. So basically you're good at talking, schmoozing and talking people up, like almost magically good at it. Devils have a whole bit that they love contracts, much like devils in D&D. They're big on the contract thing, so they're smooth talkers a lot of the time. Some other potential things you could buy: beast legs, which makes your speed 6. You can get hell sight, which lets you see through darkness and fog. Impressive horns. Whenever you make a saving throw, you succeed on a roll of 5 or higher, so it makes you better. It basically, you have big ass horns and you have a stronger will. Wings. You can get wings if you spend 2. You start with 3 points. Some abilities cost 1 and some abilities cost 2 points. Wings cost 2 points, but they allow you to fly. It's pretty sick. One thing that's funny, while using your wings to fly at 3rd level or lower, you have damage weakness 5, which means you take 5 extra damage from everything. So you can fly.
Kind of the idea that you should get blown out of the sky very easily.
Yeah, you're just really easy to get knocked the fuck out. So you can fly, but do be a little careful. You take extra damage from literally everything. So yeah, for devils, you get barbed tail, beast legs, glowing eyes, hell sight, impressive horns, prehensile tail, and wings. Just to give you an idea, I guess I'll just kind of go through them. Barbed tail, once per round when you make a melee strike, you can deal extra damage with the strike equal to your highest characteristic. The beast legs I mentioned, glowing eyes. Whenever you take damage from a creature, you could use a triggered action to deal that creature psychic damage equal to a D10 plus your level, which is, it's Hellish Rebuke. Hellsight I mentioned, the horns, and then the prehensile tail. You can't be flanked because your tail like defends you from the back. And that's your base. Ancestries are pretty simple, so like that's your structure for all of them. Next we have the Dragon Knights. They're Dragonborn.
I don't like that they're called Dragon Knights.
Did you read why?
I did, yes. I still don't love it.
So explain the reason they're called Dragon Knights is they are not naturally occurring people. They were created by a very powerful wizard in the setting, basically a long time ago in the setting when there was more peace. There was this guy, Good King Omund, who his wizard made these dragon knights, or he made what was called the dragon phalanx, and every dragon within it was a dragon knight because they were all explicitly created to be knightly soldiers. Like that was their only job. So they're called knights because they're all referred to as knights because that was their original intended purpose, and they're kind of like weird homunculus people. They're not naturally occurring. They're not born from dragons or anything like that. An evil wizard a good wizard did some fuck shittery and made superhuman lizard dudes.
Right, it's just weird that like Orthok the baker is called a dragon knight, you know what I mean?
His ancestry is a dragon knight, yes. I feel like, I don't know, they probably would have a more casual name, right? Like I could see myself running this game and people calling them like Dragonkin or Lizard Folk or something like that. Like they'd call them something a little less intense.
I feel like they missed a perfectly good opportunity, although it's Pokemon. Just call them Dragonites.
Dragonites?
Because you would get like, linguistically, you would get just a natural shortening of those two words from Dragonite to Dragonite, ITE.
Dragonite? Yeah, you could, I suppose. You might get in trouble with Nintendo, though.
Nintendo just copyrighted the idea of summoning and using things to fight for you, which doesn't make...
I know.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's not fine.
It's not fine, but yes, I know. So... Yeah, but other than that, they're Dragonborn. Two notable things about Dragon Knights, however, they all explicitly have wings and tails. No lizard dudes lacking wings or tails. All have wings and tails. Not all of their wings work. Some have essentially defunct wings that aren't big enough to carry them, but they all have wings.
Vestigial.
Vestigial, yes, that is the word I could not think of. They also have one of my favorite art pieces in the book, I think, is the Dragon Knight species art.
Their art is pretty cool.
The green dude, the green dragon and the red dragon, they look pretty hype. Actually,
The Red Dragon is very D&D Red Dragon coded. I noticed that.
Yeah.
It's like,
What? Okay, what is your take on the art overall? Because
I'm happy you brought that up.
I have a very specific opinion that's gonna sound a little negative, but I have to like explain it.
Well, so I think the art relies on 2 or 3 design aesthetics, and it gets very old very quickly, and there is some weirdness going on generally. Like, it depends on the picture, of course, but like, I have a couple. Just please do yours, because mine are just like, I've got like 5 or 6 small ones.
I mean, I definitely, my problem is not necessarily that they reuse a design thing. I know that there was a relatively small art team that did a whole shitload of work, so like, that's not that surprising to me. My problem with a lot of the art, okay, I need to be very, very clear about this. These artists are a lot better than I am across the board. They are very, very skilled. However, I don't like most of their art. For 2 main, and this is mostly about an aesthetic preference thing. So, my first big problem with the art is that all of it is really, really highly rendered. And again, as an artist, I am well aware of how difficult it is to get to the level of rendering quality that the art in this book has. And they're very good at it. I don't like the way it looks. The overly renderedness makes everything feel very stiff to me.
Sterile? Okay.
It's not sterile, but stiff.
So,
a lot
okay.
of art pieces lack a lot of motion,
Yes.
a lot of feeling of motion, or just energy. Like, they just don't have a lot of energy. They feel very locked in place.
I know exactly. Okay, that's kind of what I meant when I said sterile. Like, so perfect example, right? The art for the orcs. That one orc is like shredding on this like sick handheld harp like thing, and his hair's flowing in the background. That orc looks like a statue of an orc. That doesn't look like a living, breathing person.
It doesn't. Yeah, it lacks energy. It lacks a lot of energy. And again, part of that is because it's so highly rendered, and when you render up a drawing a lot, you lose out on energy pretty much without fail. It's almost impossible not to. And just to be clear, this is what I'm saying right now is a thing that I've heard from other professional, well-seasoned artists who have taught me. They all agree, if you render something up like, closer and closer to reality, you're going to get stiffness and you're going to lose energy, and you have to make a decision on if you want it to. Basically you have to decide, do you want to push that realism or do you want the energy and the movement? You kind of can't have both, So yes, there's that. My other problem, and this is one scenario where this is a more genuine critique, I think. A lot of the art in this, they're not good at action. A lot of the action shots, the action poses, just are really not working for me. There's a lot of like awkwardness to the posing. And I'll give you my prime example. The one that bugs me maybe the most is if you go to the classes, the null.
Oh,
that drives me crazy because it doesn't. So this is gonna be hard, but I'm gonna describe it. So it's like a shirtless Hakan dude, which are the half giant people. We haven't gotten to there, but the shirtless Hakan dude, and he's like uppercutting a devil dude in the face and like punching his soul out of him because the null has these like psionic type powers. The way the devil dude is positioned relative to the uppercut looks like he missed. Like, it doesn't look like he hit the devil dude in the face. It looks like the guy's falling over and he whiffed the punch. And he's just kind of awkwardly leaping into the air, doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
I do, yes.
And so there's a lot of art pieces I've noticed where the posing of the action feels very odd. And some of it I understand, because sometimes you have to make a concession where a certain pose isn't going to work because you would see so little of the character that it just doesn't register. Like, it just looks weird. So you tweak the pose to look a little more awkward so that the character stands out better. And that's a concession you have to make sometimes. So but there's other times where I feel like that concession was made maybe too much.
Yes, and a perfect example on page 143, the lycanthrope with the lightning claws.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I cannot tell what this character is trying to do.
That one doesn't bother me too much. It's a little, they're kind of like, yeah, they're running forward. There's a lean, like, it's a little vague.
Are they running forward? Are they jumping to the side to dodge? Are they
running
landing
or
from
jumping?
A jump?
It doesn't, it doesn't really matter too much because it's just a single character kind of posed in a shot, so it doesn't bug me as less. As soon as they start getting multiple characters, I feel like is where things get wonky most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we have different complaints, but like for me, it's a lot of like.
Well, so like, okay, look at the tactician. The splash art for the tactician. That one, this one genuinely bugs the shit out of me because the pose of the tactician character makes no sense relative to the guy that he's supposed to be punching in the face? ? Right?
Oh, that's not how I read that at all.
I think he's supposed to be hitting him in the face with his sword that's in his right hand.
I can see why you'd say that because you get the little swoosh lines coming off the sword, like almost like he's on the backswing, but that's not how at all.
I'm reading it off the guy's cut chest and blood coming out of his mouth. Right.
But like the motion there, you're getting some like energy swooshes on the backswing. Yes, I do see the cut. I don't know. I kind of read that. It's funny. He kind of looks like Chadwick Boseman. I read that as him like strutting through a fight, but yeah, I did not read it as him attacking that guy.
See, that's kind of what I mean. The action posing is wonky, so there's like a unclearness to a lot of. Not all. There are some shots that work a lot better, but some of them, yeah, it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before, but I think the art is very good.
Again, like, it's very detailed.
Speaking, it's very good.
It's very highly rendered.
Anatomy is fantastic.
All that.
Coloring is fantastic.
Texture works very good. All that shit.
Well, texture working. Yeah.
I think texture
all
is
of the
good
clothes.
For most of
any
them.
Cloth in this looks like leather. Like there's no inclination that any of this is cloth, which it almost certainly has to be. And the metal doesn't look like metal to me a lot of the time. But like besides,
I think the metal definitely looks like metal. I definitely don't see that one.
Depends.
I haven't seen anywhere I feel like there was weirdness on metal texture. That's one of the things I think they got the most right. But and it's not every pose either. Like the shadow splash art, I think that pose works pretty well.
Actually, so speaking of art in the shadow, did you notice that the one woad elf doing the rogue assassin dark elf pose, but like better?
Yes, I did.
I saw it. I was like, no, this has to be a dig, right? This has to be a dig. They're in the exact same pose. They're both like assassin dark elves with the shadow magic around them. It's the same pose.
I'm not going to say it's a dig, but it might be a reference.
It's got to be something.
Yeah, so what Isaiah is referring to is there's an awkward drawing in the rogue section of the 2014 player's handbook where he's kind of like stepping forward and kind of crouching and he's holding the knife in a really weird way. It's like a drow dude. It's just a really uncomfortable, weird pose that just doesn't work. And in the Draw Steel book, it's a very similar pose, but the character's coming forward and the camera's facing at her front. So I
posted that in the wrong chat.
It looks like what the D&D pose was trying to do, but just, like better executed. God, I hate that rogue painting. Every time I see it, I hate it.
It's bad, yeah, but
every time I see it bugs me more. It's not the
new
worst
one
painting in the
is
player's handbook, but
no, it's not. No, I still argue it's the fucking
Vinegar
halfling.
Strokes halfling. Yeah, I know.
Vinegar Strokes halfling bard, baby.
How else do you describe it?
No, that's exactly how I describe it.
It's
It's
what
just
she
funny.
is.
Just full on Vinegar Strokes, yeah.
So all this to say, for me personally, for me, it's just not a style of art that I like that much. So it comes off a little weird for me. And there are some technical elements where I'm not necessarily saying I could do better, but I'm saying I see problems.
I look, I on a separate argument, I have problem with the like, could you do better? It's like, no, but that's not the fucking point.
No, I'm definitely not saying I could do better. I'm just saying as someone with drawing knowledge, I could see some weird gaps. Like I could see some awkwardness. So, I will point out too, side note, that the tactician one I was talking about, that piece of art of the dude, Sir John, who's kind of like the by the way, they did the D&D thing where all of the classes have like a character attached to him. So Sir John's the tactician guy.
I had a feeling because all of these characters are repeated across the book.
Yeah, they repeat. Yes, they repeat a lot. Sir John, that painting of him was done independently of that background painting. And I know that for a fact because I've seen that art in different things prior during like playtests and stuff. So he got maybe awkwardly slapped in there a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how he was put into that scene, but I know that art was made independently. Anyway, let's get back to the game itself. I just felt like we had to mention the art thing a little bit because a lot of people are saying it's very good and I get it, but yeah, it just doesn't hit for me.
I mean,
I much prefer the art of a game like Kane where you're going or Lancer or fucking Root, or you're going for a vibe, or Fabula. On a technical level, the art of Fabula is not as technically good, but I like it infinitely more.
Oh, I disagree.
I mean?
I think the art in Fabula is technically fantastic, and I think it's because they mastered the art of subtlety.
Well, what I'm saying is technically good as in the rendering and the detail and the lighting. All of those things are not as high on a technical proficiency relative to the kind of detail you're looking at with Draw Steel. But it was a deliberate choice, and I like it better. Like, it's the style that artist does it in, but
I mean,
I prefer it in that fashion.
Fair enough. I think I talked about this before. I think an issue I have with the art of Draw Steel is it looks very MCU. And I hate that I have to make that complaint.
I don't know. I guess I don't really give a shit about that. I'm just looking at the art on its own merit. I'm not even really comparing it to it looks like X, Y, or Z. I'm just saying on its own.
So MCU is like highly textured, like.
Yeah, it has a little bit of an MCU concept art thing, I guess, but like, whatever. It's not about the comparison thing. It's about how it exists on its own. It's just not stylistically, I don't prefer it. Like this is very similar to my opinions on like animation, right? Like I much prefer the JJK style, the Ashura's Wrath style of like just absolutely fuck the model, break the shit out of it, go ballistic for the sake of the motion. Like I will always prefer that over the much more Dragon Ball Z style of like stay on model as tightly as possible at all times kind of method. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is basically that. Like this is the same. This is that, but we're talking about like still drawings. It's like the same kind of thing. Anyway, that was a whole lot of shit. What do you get as a Dragon Knight? Just very briefly, your signature trait thing you get as a Dragon Knight is you get damage immunity. You pick, much like Dragonborn, you pick acid, cold, corruption, fire, lightning, or poison. and you get a damage immunity to it. You can change it out on a respite. So long rest, you can swap out your damage immunity. I don't know if the color of your scales are relevant to the damage immunity or not, like lore wise. So I don't know if you're changing colors. I assume not. Then you get your 3 points to spend. You get a Dragon Guard ability, which is you can reduce incoming damage. You get a Dragon's Pride, which is basically a big scary roar that pushes people away. You get Dragon Breath, which is what you would expect it to be. Prismatic Scales, where you gain like an additional immunity, damage immunity. And then Remember Your Oath, where this one's fun. As a maneuver, you can recite the following oath until the start of your next turn. Whenever you make a saving throw, you succeed on a 4 or higher. The default succeeding on a saving throw is a 6 or higher. Saving throws don't work how you might be thinking, though.
Yes, they don't work on the tier system.
They don't work on the tier system, and they don't work like D&D saving throws. They're more like luck saves. But there's an oath. Even should the sun stop in the sky, even should the night last 1,000 years, I will stand forever. I shall not yield. Those who suffer and yearn for justice, I am your sword and shield. I will yield no ground. I will speak no lies. I will stand against all tyrants until the last villain dies. I just like that they took the time to actually write the oath out.
Yep.
It's a cool one. And then you can have wings. Much like the devil, you can have wings. Your next one are dwarves.
I have to say, I'm sorry. I appreciate that this game is not afraid to let their fucking player characters fly with no weird restrictions.
Well, there's a little bit of a restriction. You can sail off for a certain number.
But like,
well, no, there's a number of rounds.
Oh, is it?
You sail off for a number of rounds equal to your might score before you fall. Yeah. But you can also just keep doing it. So it's not like
true.
There's no ammo count on it.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. It doesn't say you possess powerful enough wings. While using your wings to fly, you can stay aloft for a number of rounds equal to your.
Well, I guess it's one of those where if you're not in combat, I guess it doesn't matter. You could just kind of fly whenever, however.
If you're not in combat, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you're in combat, I guess you would have to keep using a maneuver to keep yourself moving.
Right, but if you're not, if there's no action economy being tallied, then you have that perpetually.
Yes. I just realized it doesn't specify if it's like a maneuver or an action or a what. So that's actually kind of weird.
If it doesn't, presumably it's presumably a free action if they don't quantify it in a meaningful way.
But if it's a free action, then you could just re-up it every turn. So why would you have the might score limiter?
That's a good point.
Huh. I'm slightly confused about that. I didn't notice that before. Okay. Next we have dwarves. Dwarves are mostly kind of sort of what you would expect, except they are not fleshy. They're rock dudes. Well, they're hybrid. They're fleshy and stony. They're stony flesh.
People with tough metal-like muscles and like stony skin.
Stone skin, yeah. But they are mostly in your standard dwarven, they're miners kind of vibe for the most part. There used to be steel dwarves back in the day, in the ancient times. Just kind of a fun little lore tidbit. They look interesting, I would say. I don't know if I love it, but they look interesting.
But I like that they tried something different.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Actually, I did forget to mention, we were kind of shitting on the art a little bit. There's a big stained glass art piece that shows all of the ancestries lined up. The big stained glass art piece I like a lot. That I think looks sick.
Well, so then we have not all, like, okay, one last thing in the art. Right before they talk about the devils, there's that like Market Square art.
Yeah, that one's good.
And that looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, that one's good. Yeah.
I like the little mouse dude in the corner talking to the flying monkey.
Oh, see, the thing I like is that the dude up in the top left corner who's like, I'm just Batmaning. Just Batmaning real hard up on the side, just edgelording it out. Thought that was funny. Yes, the mouse dudes are pretty cool. I think they mentioned adding the mouse suits to the game soon.
Oh, perfect. That's what I want to play.
So dwarves, your signatures, you get runic carving. You carve a rune into your skin, which is to say your stone skin. And you either get magical detection, you shed light, or you get telepathy. And then for your purchase things, you can get you're immune to weakened, which is like a status effect basically. You can get +1 to your stability, which makes you harder to move and push around on the field, because again, moving and pushing people around is a huge thing in this game. Spark off your skin is you have a +6 bonus to your stamina, which is stamina is health in this game, and that goes up at 4th, 7th, and 10th level, which I believe are the echelon thresholds. Stand tough, which your might is treated higher for resisting things, and for resisting potency tests, and you gain an edge on might tests when called to resist environmental effects or stone singer. You talk to rocks. You talk to rocks and can move the rocks. Actually, I shouldn't just say you can shape the rocks like an earthbender by talking to the rocks.
Yes.
That's a better way to put that. Then we have the Woad Elves. I fucking love these dudes. I don't know about you. I love the Woad Elves. I think they look sick.
Their art is very reminiscent, like the way their faces are drawn.
Yeah.
Are very reminiscent of the Spider-Bit Chronicles. I don't know if you read that book series growing up.
Nope.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, they're books for kids or like young adults, young teenagers. I don't know. They look like the Wood Elves from that. It's fine.
I see. So the Woad Elves are like, they're kind of your Wood Elf equivalent, but instead of just being slightly stinkier elves, they're like bat people. They have like huge bat ears and big ass weird eyes, and their skin is furry and blue. And I don't know, they're just a little unsettling in a way that I really like.
Yes,
like they make you just a little uncomfortable. They
are distinctly fey folk. Like,
yes, they're
they're
very
described as being like kind of tricksy and carefree. They're like wood elves and everything, but this time they actually kind of like look like they belong in the forest.
They also have abilities that lean into it. So, for example, their signature trait is Wood Elf Glamour. You can magically alter your appearance to better blend in with your surroundings. You gain an edge on tests to hide and sneak, and tests you make to search while you're hidden take a bane. An edge is a +2 to a roll. A bane is a -2 to a roll.
I think their coolest one is the Woad Defends, which basically if you try to attack them, like brambles erupt out of the ground and lock you in place.
Yeah, protect you. You can be swift. You get a bonus to speed. You have Forest Walk, which is your sort of rangery, ignore terrain thing. I just realized there's not really a ranger class in this game.
No.
Which is weird because they made the Beast Heart for 5e. Oh, that just hit me just now.
Yeah, no,
I mean, you could play a shadow with some...
A shadow, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. You have Quick and Brutal, which is whenever you score a critical hit, you can take an additional main action and an additional move action instead of just a main action, because when you get crits in this game, you take a whole nother action, which is kind of wild. Otherworldly Grace, when you make a saving throw, you make it on a 5 or higher instead of a 6. Revisit Memory, you gain an edge on tests to recall lore. Then you have your High Elves. So, sorry, I just remembered something. I meant to say this when we were talking about Dragon Knights, and the High Elves and the Dragon Knights are the High Elves made me think about this. So the reason that the Dragon Knights exist the way that they do is because Matt Colville, every edition of D&D that he played, he updated his setting to like account for the new stuff in the game. So when 4th edition came out, that's when they introduced Dragonborn, and he didn't want to have like weird alien dragon people. So he came up with the Dragon Knights lore to make them like fit in his setting. So there's this good King Omen dude. He used his wizard. The wizard made the dragon people, and that's why there's the dragon. That's why Dragonborn exist. For the High Elves, the little extra tidbit of lore is that like high elves are low-key celestial alien deity being people. And the reason I know about this is because Matt Colville's novels share setting elements with his D&D game. Actually, it might be the same world exactly. I forget if they're 1-1 or just really close. And in that, elves are like people made of stars that come down from space. So high elves in this game, they're like weird otherworldly alien beings that use magic to make themselves look more normal and bearable to regular people on the planet, basically. So do with that what you will. I don't know. It's kind of a weird take on elves. People may or may not like that.
I kind of vibe with it, I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's funny you were talking about this, and I could just think about the Matt Colville has all of his Dragonborn have a very particular inflection that I cannot like recreate.
No, I can't do it. He does this thing where so he does a thing where he tries to imagine how they would talk because they don't have lips, which means they would have to talk different, which is true. He has a very valid point there. I don't know what that would sound like, but he's not wrong. But yeah, the other thing, he basically said his idea for like high elves is kind of an extension, like a logical extension of what Tolkien thought about of elves, where they're kind of like mystically above humans. They're like almost a little angelic. So he just kind of took it to like a logical extreme, basically. Which I was like, it's an interesting opinion. It's kind of weird. I have to say too, as an aside, it's kind of weird reading through this game because I have this like extra background lore about the game because I listen to Matt Colville's like streams and videos and stuff all the time, and he throws in these little tiddly bits, and I read his novels. So I have these like weird extra bits of information that come in.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why this is better for you to talk about, because I'm just kind of here nodding along like,
Yeah, there's all this. Matt Colville be like, my OC do not steal, you know, which is, I mean, it's fine. So the default trait, if you're a high elf, is you get high elf glamour. A magic glamour makes others perceive you as interesting and engaging, granting you an edge on presence tests using the flirt or persuade skills. This glamour makes you appear and sound slightly different to each creature you meet, since what is engaging to one might differ for another. However, you never appear to be anyone other than yourself. So you're just a little bit hotter to whatever they prefer. You just got a little more of that going on. And then for your purchase ones, you have Glamour of Terror, which whenever you take damage, you can use triggered action to make the creature frightened. You have Graceful Retreat. You can get a +1 bonus when you shift, which shifting is you take the disengage move action and then you move 1 square away, and you don't take an attack of opportunity, but it's only 1 square. So an elf took Graceful Retreat, they can move 2. You get an high senses, you get an edge on tests made to notice threats. Otherworldly grace, your elf body and mind can't be contained for long. Whenever you make a saving throw, you roll a succeed on a 5 or higher. Revisit memory, which is the same as the Woad Elf one, and then unstoppable mind. You cannot be dazed, which is a status effect. Then we have the Hakan, which are human giants,
they're Goliaths. They're straight up Goliaths,
but they're also made of rock or rockier. I don't know. Right? Aren't they also rock?
Yes, they are. Like they put it somewhere.
Yeah, they're like rock people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some lore about how they made a deal with a trickster god, and so all of their species are cursed. So some of them have a thing called the Doom Sight, where you just see your own death, and you're just kind of like, well, guess that's how I die. And if you try to
you can take,
it's also an ability.
Very cool.
If you try to resist your Doom Sight, you fuck up, make things worse for everyone around you. Also, there's a superstition against Hakan that believes that they bring doom around them, which is not actually how it works, but that's what people think. So yes, ability-wise, your signature trait is big. You are size 1L, so you are just below size 2. For purchasing, you can take All is a Feather. You gain edges on tests made to lift and haul heavy objects because you're just that strong. You can have Forceful, which is if you do force movement, you can push someone farther. You can have Great Fortitude, where you can't be made to weakened. And you have Stand Tough, where your might score is treated as higher for resisting things, and you gain an edge on might tests like the dwarves. And then you get fucking Doom Sight, which... So, you predetermine an encounter which you will die. When that encounter begins, you become doomed. Well, doomed, you automatically obtain tier 3 outcomes on tests and ability rolls, and you don't die no matter how low your stamina falls. You then immediately die at the end of the encounter and can't be returned to life by any means. If you don't predetermine your death encounter, you could choose to become doomed while you are dying with the director's approval. Doing so should be reserved for encounters in which your dying is a result of suitable heroism, such as making a last stand against a boss or saving civilians, or when the consequences of your actions may have finally caught up to you, not because you're playing a one-shot and have nothing to lose. They call out somebody's name here, Hakarl. I assume that's a playtester who probably did that, would be my guess, the name call out on that one. Mm-hmm. Additionally, when your stamina reaches the negative of your winded value and you are not doomed, you turn to rubble instead of experiencing death. You are unaware of your surroundings in this state, and you can't regain stamina or have this effect undone in any way. After 12 hours, you regain stamina equal to your recovery value. So if you're not doomed, you can't die. But when you're doomed, you die. I
kind of just love that you just get turned to rubble. You just
turn to rocks.
And now you're like, can someone pick up Steve? Someone get the wheelbarrow.
Put Steve in the bag.
Yeah.
He's going in the bag. Put him in the bag of holding. Then we have humans. Humans are, they're basically humans. The one notable thing about humans in the setting of Orden is that they can smell magic. They can sense it just naturally. They just notice it more. They're just a little bit more attuned in that way. So their signature ability is Detect the Supernatural. As a maneuver, you can open your awareness to detect supernatural creatures and phenomenon. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any supernatural object or undead or construct or creature from another world within 5 squares, which is, say, 30 feet. Even if you don't have line of effect to that object or creature. Line of effect is what this game refers to as line of sight. You know if you're detecting an item or a creature, and you know the nature of any creature you detect. So you have the Paladin's Divine Sense thing, but better and not shite. So, I guess I can't really say that anymore. They kind of fixed Divine Sense in 2024.
They did, yes.
I'll never forget, though. Then they also have Can't Take Hold. Your connection to the natural world allows you to resist certain supernatural effects. You ignore temporary difficult terrain created by magic or psionic abilities. Additionally, when you are forced to move by a magic or psionic ability, you can reduce the force movement by 1. Again, getting pushed around it comes up a lot in this game, so that might not seem immediately useful, but is. Determination, your tolerance for pain and distress allows you to push through. If you're frightened, slowed, or weakened, you can use a maneuver to immediately end one of those conditions. Just fuck you, I'm built different. Perseverance. Giving up is for other people. You gain an edge on tests made to the endurance skill. Additionally, when you're slowed, your speed is reduced to 3 instead of 2. Resist the unnatural. Whenever you take damage that isn't untyped, you can use a triggered action to take half damage. Oh yeah, damage in this game by default has no typing, which is a little weird in my opinion, but I guess works out fine.
Well, so all physical damage is untyped. Any magical or explicitly elemental damage is typed.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is if the game does not specify a damage type, then it is by default has no typing.
Yes.
As opposed to something like D&D or like Fabula, where if it doesn't specify, then you generally are going to assume, physical, or in the case of D&D, you would assume slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning, right? Like there's it just has no type at all. Which again, slightly weird to me. I feel like they could have just made it physical and been good, but whatever. And then staying power, you increase your recoveries by 2, which is actually quite useful. You could just heal yourself more. And then Meminox, they're robot people, but like not Warforged style robots. Like they look like normal people, but they're like they have metal skin and fucking glowy eyes and shit, and gold vein thingies on their like faces and skin, and they're weird robot people, but they're hot.
Yes, I mean the best way I can describe the female one is it's just Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell. Down to the purple bob and the like rippling abs.
I mean, I would say that her hair is black in that, but sure. The important thing is that they're all hot. I don't know what it is. All the Meminox are drawn really hot.
Yeah.
They're from the outermost plane of law, which is kind of like where the Modrons come from in D&D, the like plane of order or whatever. It's that kind of idea. They're robots from a different dimension, alien world type situation. Their signature trait is fall lightly. When you fall, you reduce the distance you fall by 2 squares, so you take less falling damage, because I think they're like lighter than people or whatever, because they're made of like really flexible metal or whatever.
They're made of silicone.
That's what it was. And then they actually get 2 signature abilities. Their one's lightweight. Whenever another creature attempts to force move you, you treat your size as 1 size smaller than it is. And then you have, for the purchasable ones, I am law. Enemies can't move through your space unless you allow them to, because you're just too fast. Then there's Keeper of Order. Once per round, and you're an adjacent creature makes a power roll, you can use a free triggered action to remove an edge or a bane, or turn a double edge into an edge, or turn a double bane into a bane. Nimbleness, your speed is 7, which is actually quite fast. Or lightning nimbleness. Non-stop, you can't be made slowed. Systematic mind. You treat any language you don't know as if you know a related language. You also gain an edge on tests made to parse schematics, maps, and other systematic documents. Unfazed, you can't be made surprised. And useful emotion, you know how to turn your pain into... at the start of any combat, you gain 1 surge. That's right. You have like a weird... They get like world... weary being not on their home planet or something like that. I forget exactly what the deal was there. Then we have orcs. If I remember correctly, orcs are related to dragons in Orden. They have like a dragon blood or something like that in them, I think is why they have the spikiness and the like ears and shit. I think I might be wrong about that, to be honest. The other thing is they have this like weird natural inbuilt fury thing where when they get real fuck off mad, the veins in their face glow burning red.
Oh, that's what that's about. Okay.
Yes, that's what the like that's like cut-ins on their face are. For traits, the orcs are mostly your D&D-esque orcs, but again, I'm pretty sure they have like a dragon relation thing. Your signature trait is Relentless. Whenever your creature deals damage to you that leaves you dying, you can make a free strike against that creature, or against any creature, actually. If the creature is reduced to 0 stamina by your strike, you can spend a recovery. So basically, if you get taken down and you hit them back and they die, you just get the fuck back up. You're like, nope, I'm good. Bloodfire Rush, for spendable things. We have Bloodfire Rush. The first time in any combat round that you take damage, you gain a +2 bonus to speed because you're just so fuck off mad. Glowing Recovery, your bloodline lets you recover faster. Whenever you use the Catch Breath maneuver, you can spend as many recoveries as you like. Normally, you can only spend 1 recovery, and a recovery is a currency you spend to recover a third of your health, so you could spend more than 1. Grounded. You gain a +1 to stability. You're just difficult to move. Non-stop. You can't be made slowed. And passionate artisan. Oh yeah, orcs are like crafters, I believe, is another thing with them. When you gain your initial skills from your career, culture, class, or other source, choose 2 skills from the crafting skill group, and whether you have those skills or not, whenever you make a project roll for crafting a project that uses these skills, you gain a +2 bonus to the roll. Yay. And then we have the polder.
Okay.
They're hobbits. They're gnomes.
Is it me, or is the polder in the art maybe a little, it looks a little minstrelly?
I think he's supposed to look kind of like Jimi Hendrix.
I get that. Maybe not the best vibe, but I get it.
I don't think he looks minstrelly. I just thought of Jimi Hendrix. That's honestly, or Prince.
So he's
maybe
dressed like a medieval minstrel with like the bonnet and like the big poofy pants and.
Yeah. Well, but that's like the bard outfit. He's a bard.
Yes, I don't know. I think maybe the Hadozi thing has poisoned my brain.
I mean, I'm not on that page with you. Hobbits, they're gnomes, you know, they're the little folk. The cool thing that they get though is they're like naturally in tune with the shadows, so they can flatten themselves into a shadow against a wall or a floor and become hidden from any creature you have cover or concealment from, or who isn't observing you. So you can like push up against the wall and just disappear. Well, in shadow form, you have full awareness of your surroundings, and strike made against you and tests made to search for you take a bane. You can't move or be forced to move. And you can't take main actions or maneuvers except to exit from this form. Any ability or effect that targets more than one square affects you from this form only if it explicitly affects the surface. You can exit whenever. So they have this like naturally sneaky, I disappeared to the shadows thing going on, which is sort of like a take on Bilbo being a thief, you know. And they're small. You are size 1S. And then you have corruption immunity, equal to your level +2, which is like a type of damage, basically. Or no, not basically, is a type of damage. You have extra corruption. You have corruption immunity because you have like weird darkness powers in you. You can't be made frightened, or is one of these are the ones the traits you can buy. You don't get all of them. Graceful retreat, you get a +1 bonus to the distance you can shift when you disengage, like the elves. You ignore difficult terrain. With nimble step, you ignore difficult terrain and can move at full speed. With poltergeist,
this is my favorite one. This is my favorite.
At the start of each of your turns during combat, if no enemy has line of sight of you, or if you're hidden from or have concealment from an enemy with line of effect of you, you can gain a +3 bonus to speed until the end of your turn. You can just zip away. It's also a funny name.
It's just so funny that you're like, I do not wish to be here anymore, therefore I will not.
Yeah, I'm going to move now. And then reactive tumble. Although I don't know, you like poltergeist over the shadow meld.
Shadow meld is cool. They're both really good. I don't know. So maybe that one's a little different. That's like the signature trait, but like the ones that you can pick, that one's my favorite.
Fair enough. And then you have reactive tumble. Whenever you're forced to move, you can use your free triggered action to shift 1 square after the forced movement is resolved. And then we have revenants. I love that revenants are like a base class or a base ancestry that you can pick. So revenants work a little differently because obviously revenants are dead people from their respective whatever ancestry they were. They are now a dead person from that. So your signature traits are one of them is former life. Choose an ancestry you were before you died. Your size is that ancestry size. Your speed is 5. Unless you select one of the previous life traits from below, you don't receive any other ancestral traits from your original ancestry. And then their other signature trait is tough but withered. You're immune to cold, corruption, lightning, and poison damage equal to your level, but you have fire weakness 5. You can't suffocate, and you don't need to eat or drink. Additionally, when your stamina reaches the negative of your winded value, you become inert instead of dying. You fall prone and can't stand. You continue to observe your surroundings, but can't speak, take main actions, maneuvers, move actions, or triggered actions. While inert this way, if you take any fire damage, your body is destroyed and you die. Otherwise, after 12 hours, you regain stamina equal to your recovery value. So kind of like the Hakan, if nobody hits you with the coup de grace on the fire, you just cannot die.
The coup de grace.
Yeah.
Okay, like me, did you also read this and go, so I can have 8 chronic longswords to the chest and actually have a chronic condition?
I didn't, but now that you're pointing it out.
Your character just wakes up, you're just like, there's just 8 longswords. Like, why is it always 8? What the fuck?
So you're like looking like a pin cushion.
Yeah.
So for the Revenant traits, you only have 2 ancestry points or 3 ancestry points if your size is 1s. So I guess if you're like a polder, or you know, or what other future ancestries we get. Ancestry point ones you can pick. Bloodless, your open wounds are indistinguishable from a scratch. You can't be made bleeding even while dying, which is a big deal because when you go into the dying phase, if you're not bleeding, you can't like bleed out and die. Somebody has to hit you to kill you, whereas everybody else can bleed out and die. So you're just really hard to take down, or potentially harder to take down. One of your previous life options, you can. So they have previous life 1 point and previous life 2 points. So you can spend 1 point or 2 points to get an option from your previous life, which is where you select an equivalent cost from one of the other ancestries. And then another one they get is Undead Influence. Your supernatural gift allows you to gain influence over other undead. You gain an edge on reason, intuition, and presence tests made to interact with undead creatures. And then Vengeance Mark. As a maneuver, you place a seal on a creature within 10 squares, which is quite far, or 60 feet, actually. So it's not that crazy. When you place that sigil, you decide where it is and if everybody can see it. You always know the direction to the exact location of a creature who bears one of your sigils and is on the same world. You can have a number of active sigils equal to your level, and you can remove a sigil from a creature at will, no action. If you already have the maximum number of sigils activated, you place a new one, your oldest sigil disappears with no effect. Additionally, you have the following signature ability, Detonate Sigil, which is to say you point at that loser and blow that shit up, and then they can take some damage, and you can also make them slide either 1 square, 2 squares, or 3 squares, and slide means you can make them go in any direction. So you could move them closer to yourself with that too, potentially, if you wanted. But yeah, you just point at them and go kablooey.
You literally do. I'm like holding it in, but it's so funny. Can you think about how fucked this is? And like, because you have to think about these abilities. Every one of these creatures has something like this, right? Maybe not this ability, but like all Polder have that weird shadow shit. All the Wood Elves. Can you imagine? There must be laws like Revenant. You're not allowed to place vengeance marks on things.
Yeah.
Cut
Don't just
this shit out.
Yeah. Don't just stick vengeance marks on the people in the city, please.
Can you imagine if your boyfriend's like a Revenant? It'd be a little weird because you're a corpse, but like, you know what I mean? If your boyfriend's like a Revenant or whatever, or your girlfriend rather, and you know you pissed your significant other off when a little rune shows up on you and you're like, don't you fucking dare, I swear to God. And they've just got their hands in the snap fingers motion like, I'll do it. Get out of the house. I don't want to see you. Like, you that would fucking what? And it just cuts to the outside of the apartment. It's a puff of smoke through the window. That
would be a little extreme, seeing as how you are causing them physical, magical damage. That'd be like shooting your partner in the foot or something if you're mad at them.
And yet,
like damn.
Yep.
Also, it's funny you say that Revenants in the city, because in the city capital, there's literally like a Revenant district.
I'm sure.
So
how often do you, like, especially if you're dating another Revenant, how often do you think explosions just go off in there?
Probably more than people would like.
Yeah.
And then we have the last race, which I absolutely just cannot stand the way they look.
I hate them. No, I don't like them at all.
I don't like them at all.
I don't like their name. I don't like that they're just weird punk gith.
Yeah, so
I don't like anything about them.
To describe this, since we're an audio only here, to describe, they have kind of a Gith thing going on. They have very yellow skin and pointy ears, and they have kind of the sallow faces like the Gith.
They have the nose thing. They have the Voldemort noses too.
They have the Voldemort noses. Now, the two other notable things is they have 4 arms, which I never really liked the 4-arm aesthetic. I'm gonna be honest. That's just not a vibe for me. It never has been. Like, even in Ben 10, 4 arms, I'm like, nah, that's not my guy.
Nah, that was my guy.
I just don't like the 4-arm thing. I always thought Goro looked stupid too.
Damn.
The thing that really bugs me the most about the Time Raiders, though, is they don't have eyes. Their eye is a single piece of metal that's shaped like visor sunglasses that's like embedded in their face, and it just makes me uncomfortable.
I did not know that. I did not know that they didn't have eyes. I thought they were all just wearing cool punk sunglasses.
No, that is their eyes.
Oh,
that's their eyes.
I dislike that greatly.
Yeah, it makes me really uncomfortable. So yeah, weird for and they all dress like 80s punk like rocker dudes for the most part. They have a lot of like mohawks and shit going on. I assume as a reference to the way the Gith kind of had that vibe at one point, I guess, but yeah.
There's like no art of them in the book. It's kind of odd.
There's not a lot. Yeah, there's a little bit, but not a ton. They're not actually called Time Raiders. They're called Karanzoi. But Time Raiders is the name that they like gave themselves because they fly around. Basically, they're the Spelljammer guys. They fly around on ships in space on the Sea of Stars and like can go to different manifolds of reality and shit. So they call themselves Time Raiders. Yeah. They're weird. They're the weirdest ancestry by far. They're the weirdos of the base game, of the base like book for sure. So what do? So their signature is they have psychic immunity equal to their level because they're Gith. They're Gith, so they have the psychic stuff going on. Beyond sight as a maneuver, you can adjust your vision to let you see through mundane objects. Yeah, they can see through things. There's a little more to that, but yeah, they can see through things. They also have foresight. You automatically know the location of any creature with concealment who isn't hidden from you within 20 squares, and you can negate the usual bane on strikes against such creatures. Basically, you can see invisible dudes. Additionally, whenever you're targeted by a strike, you can use a triggered action to impose a bane on a power roll. 4-armed athletics. You gain an edge on tests that you climb, gymnastics, or swim skills when you can use all of your arms. 4-armed martial arts. Whenever you use the grab or knockback maneuver against a adjacent creature, you can target one additional adjacent creature using the same power roll for both targets. Additionally, you can have up to 2 creatures grabbed at a time. And then they get Psionic Gift, where you can choose a Concussive Slam, a Psionic Bolt, or Minor Acceleration. Concussive Slam lets you push dudes away. Psionic Bolt does more damage. Or no, actually it does the same damage, but lets you slide somebody. Concussive Slam can also knock somebody prone. That's the benefit of that one. And then Minor Acceleration, you get a bonus to your speed equal to your Reason or Intuition score. Reason, Intuitions, or Presence score. And then their last one is Unstable Mind. Unstoppable Mind, sorry. You can't be dazed. Favorite of the ancestries out of curiosity?
I'm not gonna lie.
Uh-huh.
Probably humans.
I had a feeling you might say that.
But if it's not the humans, it's probably the Woad Elves.
It might be Woad Elves for me too. It's either Woad Elves or Dragon Knights for me.
Although I really do like the Devils. I think the Devils lore is really maybe I like the Devils more than humans.
Devils do have a fun lore. That's true.
I kind of like them all besides
Time Raiders.
Besides Orc and Time Raider, I think orcs are just a little boring.
Okay.
All right, like I like their design. I like their cool like frilled faces, but like their lore is just kind of like meh.
Fair enough.
I can see myself building pretty much every class other than an Orc and a Time Raider.
Every ancestry, but fair enough.
That's what I mean. Yeah. By the way, I'm checking the book. Besides the 2 pieces of art for the Time Raiders, there is only 2 other pieces of art for them in the entire book.
They definitely have the least art.
I don't know that 100% for a fact. I'm only on page 354, but they might have 2 pieces of art, and none of them are good shots of their faces.
Well, that would be 4.
4, yeah. Look, I mean,
Then
there's every other page has a fucking Hakan on it.
There are a lot of cons, true. Then we get to the background step. So you pick your ancestry, now you have to pick your background. So there is some breakdown about. There's a lot of languages in this game, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
If
you're someone who likes the language thing, there's a lot.
So I do like the language thing, but this creates the annoying thing where you could just have built a character who doesn't know anything, and you could have 4 languages, but they could never come up. Yes, ask the GM, but that's one of those things where the GM might not think about it. It just feels like more headache than it's worth to have that many languages. And specifically, it's a little annoying that half of the languages are just human dialects.
Well, I think there's something. I think I remember it saying something about brain, where if it's a dialect, you can figure it out, kind of thing.
Yes, you can.
I also believe I think there's rules for picking up languages too. I forget where though. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I wouldn't doubt it, but I can't imagine it's going to be any easier than it is in D&D, which is 300 days of spending 8 hours a day learning language.
No, I think it's there's more support for it. That's the thing. But either way, so it starts with the culture section, giving you kind of archetypal cultures, and it gives you each of the ancestries and then breaks down the typical language, environment, organization, and upbringing of each of those. So language is their language, environment being do they live in an urban area or a wilderness or something like that, organization being is it a bureaucratic or communal organization, and then upbringing being academic, martial, creative, or labor-based. And then there's another table of archetypal cultures. So if you want to have a mercenary band, their environment would be nomadic, their organization would be bureaucratic, and their upbringing would be martial. So basically what you do is you build to make your character's culture, you build from those pieces. So you pick an environment, an organization, and an upbringing. You know the language of your culture. From the environment, organization, upbringing aspects of your culture, you gain access to skills. And you gain an edge on tests made to recall lore about your culture, and on tests made to influence and interact with people of your culture. So you get a bonus when when it's I'm dealing with my kind, it's my peoples. So your culture's language aspect determines how people of your culture communicate. Language in Ordin's below discusses the many languages in the world of Ordin, including Kalian, which is kind of your default language. So environment options, you have nomadic, which will give you exploration or interpersonal skills. Reminder, skills are broken up into groups. So if you choose nomadic, you get 1 skill from the exploration or interpersonal skill group. If you choose rural, you can get crafting or lore skills. If you choose secluded, you can get interpersonal or lore skills. If you choose urban, you can get interpersonal or intrigue. And if you choose wilderness, you can get crafting or exploration skills. And then they also give you a quick build suggestion option if you don't want to pick one. So for example, for rural, it says just take the nature skill. For nomadic, it says take the navigate skill. And then you have the organization of your culture. So how they function. This is either going to be bureaucratic or communal. There's only the 2. Bureaucratic gives you interpersonal or intrigue skills, and then communal will give you crafting or exploration skills. And then your upbringing, which is either going to be academic, creative, labor, lawless, or martial. Academic, you get 1 from the lore skill group. If you do creative, you can get the music or perform skill or one skill from the crafting group. If you do labor, you can get the blacksmithing skill, the handle animals skill, or a skill from the exploration group. If you do lawless, you get one skill from the intrigue skill group. If you do martial, you get one of the following. You get blacksmith or fletching, climb, endurance, or ride, intimidate, alertness, or track, or monsters or strategy. So martial's a little more specific. Oh, and then I forgot that there's also noble. And noble, you get interpersonal skill group. So you essentially, to set up your culture, you go, okay, environment, and then you get a skill from your environment, and then you decide how is my culture organized, and then you get a skill from that, and then you choose what kind of upbringing did I personally have, and then you get a skill from that. So effectively, you're getting three separate skills ish from your background, and you mix and match. You design your character's culture background is the important thing here, and you mix and match those things. And then your GM, you go, all right, GM, I picked this, and this. And then the GM goes, okay, cool. So, you came from this town, and now, you're supposed to kind of work with your GM, and whatever you choose for the culture then becomes an official location or type of people in the world, so on and so forth. Anything to add?
No, I mean, I think it was fun and intuitive to put all that stuff together. Like I built,
yeah, I think it's cool.
I rebuilt Luca, right? Like my human talent, formerly Mystic.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see how things interplayed with each other and how you could go, oh, well, I kind of wanted this thing, but you could almost immediately fill any gaps in a character that you want. Like, obviously, you can't do the absurd. You can't do everything. But as someone who wanted to do really focus in on the intelligent, studious, kind of be the bookworm, I pretty much went, oh, I want this thing. Oh, I can get that with this. Oh, I want this thing. Oh, I can get that with this, which is cool. It helps you feel it really helps you, what's the word I'm looking for? Not, it helps you fill a niche in a really complimentary way. Like it's fun and it feels almost rewarding
to plan it out.
To plan it out, but to really go hard on doing your one thing. In D&D, I guess what I'm trying to say is this. In D&D, if you want to be a character who's really studious, it's like, I can be good at Arcana, and I can be good at investigation, but you're always going to have these weird gaps where, you'll have gaps in everything else in this game because of just the sheer amount of breadth of skills. Yes. But if you want to know everything there is to know about monsters and magic and psionics and just general studiousness, you can very easily achieve that at a very low level.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because one of the reasons that I forget where the book says it, but it specifically has a little pop-out paragraph where it's like, wow, there's a lot of skills in this game.
Yes, I
and basically the reason it says there's so many skills is so that you can really hammer home, this is my character's identity, this is the vibe I want my character to have. And so you're basically reinforcing that point where you're like, if I really want to hone in on this thing to really have an identity for my character, it's letting your culture build is letting you do that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, agreed. It's also good because you can do that thing where you're like, oh, my ancestry is I'm a dwarf, but what if I'm a dwarf raised by elves, right? And then so you go, okay, I'll pick ancestry, but I'm going to design my culture element to be I was raised in a woad elf village out in the forest or whatever. So I'm going to choose, lawless upbringing and a communal organization, and then a wilderness environment. So it lets you do that kind of vibe too, because that's the thing people have complained about in D&D a lot, right? Well, I want to play an elf, but what if I was an elf raised by the dwarves? I wouldn't do. Some of my abilities don't make sense then, and it's this fixes this problem. And I believe a lot of games have been doing a similar thing. I know Tales of the Valiant did a similar thing to this, and I believe I think Pathfinder does too, actually. And then lastly, so after all the culture stuff, The last step is languages. There's a lot of like information on the languages because languages are kind of treated as a big deal in this game. There's languages based on ancestry, so like who used to speak it and like little notes about it. So for example, there's the first language, which was spoken by elder dragons and is the language of magic. There's several human dialects, like Isaiah mentioned, of Vasloria, which Vasloria is the name of the planet, I think? Or it's the name of the... No. Vasloria is a country? Now I don't remember, actually.
I don't know.
No, Orden's the planet. Vasloria is, I think, a country. And then it gives you a breakdown of like how the language is used. There's also a chart for dead languages, which is cool. You probably don't want to take them, but I like that they exist for like lore building stuff on the GM side of things.
Yeah.
And then your career. So your career is just what the fuck was your character up to before you were a hero, right? Because the idea is that, you know, you're a superhero now, but like, what was your vibe prior to this? So the careers are kept intentionally broad in their like names. They're not hyper specific. But essentially you get some skills, you get some languages. Some careers will increase your renown score, which renown is kind of like a meta currency that's like represents how well known you are, how well known your character is. Some of the careers will give you starting wealth, and then some careers will provide you with project points, which are points. There's a whole crafting project system that you can do during downtime. Project points feed into that. And then most of the careers will give you a perk. Perks are basically feats in this game. You do also get perks from your class, so don't worry, it isn't just your career. And then it mentions deciding an inciting incident, basically being like, why did you stop being a blacksmith and why did you become an adventurer? You know, that kind of vibe, like come up with a reason and fill that out. And also there's a little paragraph. It says what was taken from you. Like what happened during that inciting incident that kind of took something away that changed you into who you are now.
Worth mentioning, you do not need to take the inciting incidents for your culture stuff.
Oh,
you
yes.
Can make your own.
Yeah, so there's a table, what Isaiah's talking about, there's an inciting incident table that comes with every career. Yeah, you don't have to take it, but if you want to either A, roll on the table or pick one from the table to give you ideas, you know. There's also questions to help you flesh out your career background. So for example, if you look at the agent, you worked as a spy for a government organization. In defining your career, think about the following questions. Who'd you work for? Who'd you spy on? Who shouldn't know your true identity and allegiance but does? Who did you burn or leave behind to get the job done? And again, you don't necessarily have to answer those or anything, but they fill in that background stuff.
I do really like that they let you take the inciting incidents from other cultures.
Yeah.
If they basically like read the ones that you have. If these don't fit, take a look at the other ones. If those don't fit, work with your DM to make a new one. Yeah. I don't know. I appreciate that because they're asking you to, like, for the sake of the congruency of the character, they're asking you to stay within the lines. But they do acknowledge that those don't always fit what everyone's idea is.
Yeah,
so they're giving you wiggle room, and they're doing it in a tiered system, which I like. Like, look at these first. These don't fit, try these things. If those don't work, then work with your GM.
Right. Yeah.
And that this feels like maybe I'm overstating it, but I'm really not. Giving GM and players alike, first time or otherwise, some pointers, some ideas for what the game designer was thinking, even in small stuff like this, I really appreciate.
Yeah, well, it's good when you suggest and give advice on something people are probably going to do anyway, because it helps sometimes ease some of that like new game stress a little bit in a way, you know, and also gives you insight onto the designer's thoughts.
It does, and
it does both.
The hidden thing that people don't talk about is you always have that one first-time player who goes, well, I just want to do all this myself. And then you have to play the game of like, well, you should really follow the books because that's how you're going to get the best idea. And then if they don't do it, they'll start thinking of random wild shit like playing D&D for the first time being like, I want a character who can't die. And you're like, that's not...
Yes.
Don't do that. You know, This game is specifically giving you some like, start here, move on from that.
Work your way down.
Yeah.
So... just to give a couple of examples of like the kind of careers, like I said, there's the agent one. So what do you get from it? Skills wise, you get the sneak skill from the intrigue skill group, plus 1 skill from the interpersonal skill group, and 1 other skill from the intrigue skill group. The suggestions it gives you is disguise, lie, and sneak. You learn 2 languages, and you gain 1 intrigue perk. Perks are also broken up into groups the same way the skills are. And so like if you're looking for example, if you want an intrigue perk, it's gonna be about intrigue-y, subterfuge-y kind of vibe. Another example, the aristocrat, you get 1 skill from the interpersonal group and 1 skill from the lore group. And then you get 1 language, and you get +1 renown and +1 wealth. And then you get 1 lore perk. What's one that, the artist, talking about the project points, the artisan one, you get 2 skills from the crafting skill group, you get 1 language, you get 240 project points and 1 crafting perk. 240, if I remember correctly, is like a decent amount to get a project done. I forget exactly how it maps up, but it's a pretty good chunk if I remember correctly.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. You have stuff like beggar and criminal and disciple, explorer, so on and so forth. All the kind of backgrounds you would expect to see in your D&D-esque vibe. But yeah, like we said, they each give you a feat called a perk in this game. They give you some more skills and then potential renown or wealth or languages.
A small thing worth mentioning as well is you will find, like kind of like in D&D, right? Like some backgrounds, if you pick the Outworlder background, you're just broke, right? You have no money.
Yeah.
And in a game like D&D, they don't offer you anything else to compensate for the fact that you're flat fucking broke.
Yeah, to like offset it.
In this game, they actually do. Yes. So when I built my character, right, I built the Sage. You don't have any money, but you have project points. If you don't have project points, you'll have something else. If you don't have that other thing, you'll have something else. The game does its best to cover your bases so that you don't feel like you're just up shit's creek without a paddle.
And some of them get more skills than others also. So yes, they do a pretty good job of trying to make sure that they offset each other. Not to go back to the art discussion, but once we get past the careers bit, the piece of art with Sir John versus Ajax and everyone else fighting around in the background. This one I like a lot.
Yes, that one is cool. I'll give you that.
This one goes hard.
I love, we didn't talk about him, but the fucking weird dwarf with the staff.
Oh, the conduit guy?
Yes. I love him. He's just a space marine. He's just so a fucking weird, like He-manified space marine. I love him so much. He literally looks like a librarian, down to like the weird psychic, the hood thing on his head. I love him.
Yep.
He looks like a Marvel character, but I'm kind of here for it.
To explain what Isaiah's talking about, there's a dwarf character for the conduit class art that is like hitting people with holy smitage, and has like a big weird sci-fi looking staff and shit. There's a lot going on with him.
He fucks. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of love
He's got a pretty crazy
you're not selling it. He's got like like a metal crop top.
A crop top, yeah.
And fucking skivvies with a garter belt, like thigh-high greave stocking things, massive piccolo pauldrons, and a cape. And this crazy metal apparatus around his head and bracers. And in every shot he's there, he's screaming to the high heavens and shooting and lightning and shit.
Yeah, he's like smiting
so
everyone.
Over the top. I fucking love him so much.
I feel like it's also worth pointing out his weird, like his staff is like an orb on top of like an hourglass shape that looks like it maybe has blood in it.
Yeah.
Also, is he wearing assless chaps?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He's got like, so yeah, they're not like garter belts, but yeah, he's got the tidy whities.
Yeah.
He's got the leather skivvies, but the inner thighs and
The
back
inner
of the
thigh
legs,
is
there's
open.
nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just the outer thighs that have leather on them. Dude, who is this guy? Apparently his name is Dazar, and I love him.
Yeah, Dazar. The gods judge our actions and our inaction. Dazar. You're like, oh yeah, all the characters have quotes. All of that is to get us started on classes.
Bro, it's literally every fucking shot. He's just screaming. He's just screaming like a space marine. I love him.
So, all right. So the book did a really weird thing here where there's like a chunk of mechanical explanation stuff before the classes. I don't know why this section is here. Did this feel out of place to you too?
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do here. We're going to come back to it, I think. Like, I just want to talk about the classes themselves right now because
all right,
this feels slightly out of place. What?
How are we going to do the classes? Because if we have to do every class...
We're not doing every class. We can't do that.
All right, because we talked about this last episode.
Yeah.
This game goes ballistic with its classes.
Okay, classes,
because
so-
you have a class, and your class
You have a class
has
and a subclass.
unique abilities for every subclass. And you might be like, Isaiah, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like D&D. No, shut the fuck up.
It's more.
Everything you get to a certain point is based on your subclass.
So, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, we can't go through every class because that would be 3 hours by itself. It's just not. So I'm gonna like explain them first, and then we're just kind of go over them. The one I read in the most detail was the sensor, so I'm gonna use that as kind of my sample one. God, my brain I just went in 8 directions. Okay, so the classes are Sensor, Conduit, Elementalist, Fury, Null, Shadow, Tactician, Talent, Troubadour. Roughly those map onto, and I emphasis on roughly here. The Sensor is your Paladin guy. The Conduit is your Cleric guy. The Elementalist is your Wizard, but also your Sorcerer and also your Druid, depending on which subclass you go with. The Fury is your Barbarian. The Null is your Monk, but like also has psionic powers and can turn off other people's powers. The Null, I am almost positive, is inspired by a character from the Black Company named Darling the White Rose, because she is a Null. And her whole thing, part of the reason she's so important is because she has to defeat oh god, I just forgot his name. Not the Baron. Wow, I just forgot the main bad dude's name. What the fuck?
I don't know. I did not read this series.
I know. Oh god. The point is, the guy she has to beat is an evil wizard, and she has the ability to turn off wizard shit. So I'm almost positive that the Null is inspired by that character from the Black Company, but also they're the Monk.
I wouldn't doubt it because
kind of a weird combo.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I thought blanks from Warhammer, but I've no doubt that the fucking blanks from Warhammer were likely taken from the Black Company as well. So
I would say that's also
given James Workshop stealing everything that is and is not bolted down.
The Dominator, Jesus Christ, that's his fucking name that I was trying to think of. The Dominator.
Completely different than the Baron.
Yeah, my brain was really fucking firing on no cylinders on that when the hamster died. The Fury is your Barbarian. The Null is your weird monk guy. The Shadow is your rogue, but also very explicitly like shadow magic powers, not just stabby guy. The Tactician is mostly your fighter, but has all sorts of different. They're like every fighter is a battle master type scenario. The tactician has all these different like control the battlefield type moves. The talent has no D&D equivalent. They're like the psionic superpowered person, but that doesn't necessarily mean they could be Jean Grey, but they can also be a time wizard or a metamorphosis wizard or a pyrokinetic or telepathic or a cryokinetic. Like the talents have a lot of different shit they could be.
And you can be all of them at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if you could be all of them. I don't know if that's true.
You could basically, like every level you get to pick any of the skill, like, so you have like, you get your 3 subclasses, and then there are 4 tertiary classes that you can pick from when you get level ups.
Wait, I thought the talent traditions were the subclass. They not?
They are, but you only get 3 of them as base.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So like at the start, you only get, oh God, what is it called? You get chronopathy, telekinesis, and telepathy. So animopathy, cryokinesis, metamorphosis, pyrokinesis, and resopathy are all things you get as you level up. And you basically just pluck them when you want them. It's odd.
I feel like that's not exactly how it works, but I didn't read close enough, so now I'm not sure. But
it works almost identically to the Mystic, because that's how that worked too.
Oh, okay. So maybe I guess maybe I was a misunderstanding. Point being, the talent is your psychic person with the crazy grab bag of tricks. And then lastly is the troubadour. It's the bard. You do bard things. The thing that's fun about the troubadour, of course, is you actually have performances that you can put on. They're referred to as routines. So, yeah, those are your classes. So, okay, so what the fuck does a class give you in this game? So up until this point, right, you have your ancestry, and then you do your culture, and then you do your career. Your last option is your class. I'm glad they put, side note, I'm glad organization. So on one hand, this game did the thing I don't like, which is they put character creation before the rules. Not a fan. But they did put the background stuff before the classes, so that's better, because I feel like background before classes makes more sense. Side note, I'm not to hammer on the art thing again, but if you look at the art for the censor, an example of the action being a little unclear and confusing to me, I cannot tell if that Dragon Knight is swinging the mace up or down. What direction is he swinging the mace in? Because if he's swinging it up, that looks really weird, and that would be a very weak swing. But if he's swinging it downward, it doesn't look like he'd be hitting that tentacle.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out.
You see what I mean? It doesn't. It seems it's not clear which direction his arm is supposed to be swinging in. It's like in too neutral of a spot that it makes the action confusing.
I mean, he's swinging. He's got to be swinging up, right? That's the damage is starting at the top.
I guess,
and like the trail is ending at the bottom.
I see the trail, which is also why I thought up, but I feel like that would be such an awkward way to swing that mace, like swing it up above, back behind your head like that.
Yes, well, it just doesn't make sense for the pose, because if he was swinging diagonally upwards, he'd be in a handshake grip with his thumb pointing forward, right? In like a Iaijutsu kind of thing. But he's just pulling it up like he's doing.
He's kind of holding it up. He's like
an inverted row, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's holding it up like he's posing for a photo shoot almost.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's just as confusing.
It's a shame because you get some interesting stuff. Like, did you notice that the shield is buckling inward from the impact?
Yes, and I mean, I like the rest of the drawing. It's just that one bit confuses the shit out of me, and because it confuses me, it bothers me and pulls all my attention away.
Yes.
Anyway. All right, so what does a class actually give you? So you have your your characteristics, which again are your stats in this game. So if you are a sensor, you start with Might 2 and Presence 2. And then you choose from an array for your other stats. And if you math out each of the array options, add up to +1. This is very similar to how Apocalypse World did the math basically. And Dungeon
Almost identical, right?
Actually, it might be identical. Yeah, it might be completely identical. So effectively, what you're looking at if you're playing a censor, for example, is, you know, might and presence are 2, and then either you can have 2 -1s and another 2, or you could have 2 1s and a -1, or a 1 and 2 0s. Keep in mind, rolls in this game are 2d10 plus your modifiers. So if you have a -1 in a stat, you'd be rolling 2d10 -1. So 2 might not sound like a lot, but 2 is a lot in this game. Like 2 is roughly equivalent to like a +3-ish in D&D.
It is a demonstrable increase. In fact,
it's because of the way the dice, because you're working with 2 die and you're adding a modifier to 2 die, the way the curve works out, +2 has a lot bigger of an influence.
yes, something in fact I really like about this game is that flanking gives you a +2, but unlike in +2, or like unlike in D&D, that +2 feels good. It feels really good, and it doesn't feel as busted as advantage.
Yeah, it's a very relevant bonus. So then you have your class will also lay out your potencies. So this game does not have saving throws. So instead, if you do an ability to an enemy or they do it to you, it checks against a stat. So for your sensor, for example, your weak potency is equal to your presence score -2. So at level 1, it would be 0. That's your weak potency. So if you have an ability that says if the opponent has weak potency or less in this stat, then they're knocked prone, then that, in this case, that would mean if they have a presence of 0 or less, they're knocked prone. If they have a presence of 1 or higher, they are not knocked prone. And then your average potency for the sensor is presence -1, and then your strong potency is just equal to your presence. So anytime you do any kind of effect that would roughly be equivalent to a saving throw effect in D&D, you just check against a stat instead. And the main reason for this is just speed of play. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to be like, can you roll me a save? And then what did you get? And then tell me the number. So as opposed to that, you just say, if this guy has if this guy's presence is less than 2, this thing happens to him. It's just a speed of play thing, which I like. I think that's probably a good decision because, you know, it's a little bit of a shame you don't get to do like saving throws, because sometimes saving throws can be fun, but at the same time, I get why they tossed them. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
To give an example of what I mean, so the sensor has an ability called Halt Miscreant. If you get an average roll, we haven't talked about how rolls work, but if you get the average success on the roll, it does 5 plus your might in holy damage, and then it does presence greater than average. So in this case, the average at level 1 would be 1. So if the enemy you're hitting has a presence greater than 1, they are not slowed. If their presence is less than 1, they are slowed. And then what they do is it has what's called a save ends on the end of it. And a save ends is once you've been affected by an ability like that, at the end of your turn, you roll I think it's a D10. And on a 6 or higher, the condition ends at the end of your turn. And if you roll less, it doesn't. So effectively, once you're affected by an ability like this, it is luck whether you can break it or not. Your stats don't dictate anymore. Your stats protect you from the initial hit, and then if you get hit by it, then you have to hope for a little bit of luck after that. Is the basic flow. Then the other thing, obviously, your class gives you your starting stamina, which again, stamina is health in this game. The sensor starts with 21 HP. There is no rolling for health or anything in this game. It'll tell you under your starting stamina, it says stamina gained at 2nd level and higher is 9. So every level you get 9 extra HP. Funny story about this. My stupid ass, for some reason, completely did not see the stamina gained at 2nd level line and could not find it where it said that anywhere else in the book. And so I was Googling furiously online, being like, how the fuck do characters get more stamina in this game? I was very confused because I missed one fucking line. Felt like a dumbass.
Gotta love it.
And then as the sensor, you get 12 recoveries, which is how many times you can use your catch breath maneuver, which is effectively your 4E style healing surge thing. A maneuver is a bonus action in this game. So effectively on your turn, you're like, oh, I need a little bit of health. You can use a bonus action to heal yourself. Everyone can do this. There's no restriction on it. You can only do it once per turn unless you have a special ability that sort of says otherwise, like the orcs who can spend more recoveries. And then you get 2 more skills from your class. In the case of the sensor, you either get the interpersonal or lore. You can either get 2 skills from the interpersonal or lore skill group. Then you pick your sensor order, which is your subclass. In the case of the sensor, you have the exorcist, the oracle, or the paragon. I'll just read these real quick. The exorcist, you specialize in hunting your order's hidden enemies, knowing that an open mind is an unguarded fortress. You have the read person skill. Oh yeah, you get a skill from your subclass too. I forgot about that. Oracle, corruption has deep tendrils that can be missed, leading you to specialize in uncovering clandestine threats to your order. You have the magic skill. And then Paragon, without a strong example and a firm hand, the weak will be corrupted. You specialize in setting an example for your order. You have the lead skill. Subclasses are a similar vibe to D&D. Essentially, they lock you into certain abilities as you level up that are themed to your subclass. That's the main vibe. Although there will be points where you have to choose. Pretty much almost every level in this game, you're choosing abilities. It's pretty rare that you just get a thing and that's the end of it.
Yes, every level up in this game will feel significant, and it will feel like, oh, I am just cooler than I was before.
Yeah, for the most part. There's also a deity and domain thing for the sensor. Obviously, if you're playing like a tactician or whatever, you don't have to pick that. And then heroic resources. So every class has a heroic resource, which grows throughout the fight. So for the case of the sensor, you have Wrath. At the start of a combat encounter or other stressful situation tracked in combat rounds, you gain Wrath equal to your victories. At the start of each of your turns during combat, you also gain 2 Wrath. That's how the sensor works. Everybody has slightly different ways that this works. Additionally, the first time each combat round that a creature judged by you, they have an ability called Judgment, deals damage to you, you gain 1 Wrath. The first time each combat round that you deal damage to a creature judged by you, you also gain 1 Wrath. You lose all of your Wrath at the end of the encounter. And then it briefly mentions, and every class has this, which is Wrath outside of combat. So every class has heroic abilities, and heroic abilities cost your heroic resource to do them. So when you're outside of combat, you don't accrue your heroic resource unless you're in a fight or other like tense situation type related scenario. So you can use abilities that cost your heroic resource outside of fights, but effectively what you can do is you can only use them once, like once between fights or once between long rests. So you do a fight. After the fight finishes, you want to use an ability for some reason. Most of the heroic abilities are going to be combat focused, so you're not going to want to use them out of combat that much, but if for some reason you want to, you use the ability, and then your GM says, okay, you can't use that ability again until either you acquire a victory, which is to say do another fight, or if you do a respite, which is to say a long rest, then you can do it again after that. And if you need to know how many points of your heroic resource you have roughly when outside of combat, it's equal to your number of victories. So if you have 3 victories and you have an ability that deals damage based on how many of your heroic resource you have, you would treat it as 3. This is an interesting rule. I'm glad that they gave the option to use your heroic abilities outside of fights, because I almost kind of expected them to just say you can't do that, period.
Yeah, I mean,
but this is an okay middle ground, I would say.
yes, I think it's an okay middle ground. I agree with you that I don't 100% see a reason why you should use them outside of combat.
Most of your heroic abilities you're not going to, but I don't know, there might be some fringe. The fact that the rule's in there makes me believe that something came up in playtesting.
Right. That being said, once in between fights or in between days, I think is just an odd number. I don't know what else it would be, but I'm not.
Yeah,
in love
I don't know
with it.
how
it's
else
just kind of weird.
That's what I mean. It's like a compromise kind of situation. You do get abilities from your class that are not necessarily like fight abilities. You do get like traits that will do things outside of combat and stuff. So it's not like outside of combat you just have nothing. It's just, yeah, the combat abilities have kind of specific uses. Speaking of your ability, so the way your abilities work in this game, I mentioned this last time, but like there are no spells, there are no features, there's no like default actions. I said there was no attack action last time. I kind of was wrong, sorta.
Yeah, because your free attack or the free strike.
So you have your free strikes, which are just kind of a basic attack. The thing about that is there's basically no reason where you would ever use your free strike over your signature abilities. They're always going to be the better option. So
it does say that specifically too. Like,
yeah,
the game says we don't know why you would do this.
You wouldn't,
but you could.
Really. Yeah, you could, but there's no reason to. So yeah, everyone gets a basic free strike that is a melee and a range, but you're not going to use them because the way that your class works is you have signature abilities and heroic abilities. Signature abilities you can use every time for free, every single turn, and then heroic abilities you can use by spending your heroic resource. So they have an ammo count effectively. And every class gets a couple of different heroic abilities that you choose from, and then those are essentially your locked-in abilities. And some of them are kind of basic attacks, but some of them are kind of odd. So, for example, one of the ones the sensor has is Every Step Death, which is you do a magic range strike on a target, and then it deals either 5, 7, or 10 plus your presence in psychic damage. And then the effect of it is each time a target willingly moves before the end of your next turn, they take 1 psychic damage for each square they move. And that's like a basic attack ability that you can do every single turn, no questions asked. The other one is another good one is Back Blasphemer, where you deal holy damage and can push the opponent away 1, 2, or 3 squares. The suggested one they give you is your allies. Oh, by the way, all the abilities have like the names are phrases. They're like statements. They're all named this way. So the suggested ability for the sensor that it gives you is your allies cannot save you. You do a melee weapon strike, and then you roll with your might, and then you either deal 3, 5, or 8 plus might in holy damage. And then each enemy adjacent to the target is pushed away from the target a number of squares equal to your presence score. So you smack the person, and then all of their friends get pushed 1 or 2 squares away from them. You just dunk them so hard, everyone gets like blasted away. Which is cool, don't get me wrong. Shit, what was I think? And so yeah, essentially you pick one of your signature abilities. Those are kind of like your default attacks. Those are your fallback if you don't have anything else to do at the moment. And then your heroic abilities are the ones where you spend your points to do like bigger stuff. So for example, the sensor the gods punish and the suggested one of the suggested heroic abilities for the censor is the gods punish and defend. You do a magical melee weapon strike. Roll plus your might, and you deal either 5, 8, or 11 plus might holy damage on one creature or an object. And then once you do that, you can spend a recovery to allow yourself or one ally within 10 squares to regain stamina equal to your recovery value. So you smack the bad guy real hard, and then you can heal yourself or a teammate. I'm not going to read through all the abilities because, as Isaiah can attest, there's a fucking dickload of abilities.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And everybody has heroic abilities that cost 3 points, 5 points, 7 points, 9 points, and then up at the last couple of levels, 11 points. So, yeah, there's a lot of fucking abilities. And then you also get subclass abilities on top of that. Those will often... those will sometimes also cost heroic resources and whatnot. To get so for example, well, that's not even the, I was about to give an example, and then I realized this isn't the domain is not the subclass. I'm trying to find where the level 1 subclass thingies. Where's the subclass thingies? Blessing of Fortunate. What? No, those are the domains. Oh yeah, censors pick a domain kind of the same way a cleric would in this game. The Conduit also does that. So both the paladin and the cleric get that basically. You don't get one at level 1. So to give another example, like if you chose the Paragon fucking censor at level 2, you would get the abilities Lead by Example and Stalwart Icon. So Lead by Example, to explain what the non-fighty abilities kind of look like for your class. If you got Lead by Example, your devotion of your deity allows you to take command of the battlefield, letting you and your allies benefit from your wisdom. While you are adjacent to a creature, your allies gain the benefit of flanking against the creature. Additionally, your allies gain an edge on tests made to aid other creatures with their tests. That's just always on. So like that doesn't have the stipulation of like the once per between fights or anything like that. And then Stalwart Icon, you exhibit a small spark of your deity's power, causing creatures to trust or fear you depending on what you need. You gain an edge on tests made to intimidate or persuade others. Again, always on. So you do get like passive traits that come from your classes also. It's not just the attacky smacky thingies. It is mostly attacky smacky thingies, don't get me wrong. And then so you get those features, and then also at level 2 you would get your order ability, which is more of an attacky smacky type thing that costs a heroic resource. Just to hammer home the point about you get a lot of shit. And then you also get perks at level 4, and like hold on, I gotta scroll back up now. Hold on, I'm looking. Okay, level 4 and level 6 and level 8 and level 10. So after level 4, every 2 levels, you also get perks, which are feats. So you're getting your abilities, your order, your subclass abilities, your regular abilities, and perks, plus some other passive things, plus skills. You will also get additional skills as you level up in a class, and you can increase characteristics every couple of levels too. Just to give you an idea of stuff. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
I mean, no, we weren't kidding
there's a
when we
lot
said each class is about 10 pages. You get so much stuff for every class.
Stonks.
It's a little nuts, to be honest. I was not expecting the girth that I got when I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look at oh my god.
So if you just look at it without looking at the rest of the game or whatever, it definitely hits as a little overwhelming. If you just take the time to like read slowly, it's not actually that bad. It just, when you look at it real quick at first, it looks like it's gonna be really bad.
Yeah.
You know, like it has this like overwhelming, that's a lot of words. The other thing I do, this is a little bit of a complaint. Because the text is just a lot of like black on white, sometimes it's a little hard to see like where important delineations are. You know what I mean? So like, for example, if I go, where's the level 2 page? Okay, so if you get to the level 2 perks, right? And then it says you have the second level order features, and then you get the table, and you're like, okay. Immediately after stalwart icon, it says second level order ability, right? But if you're scrolling really fast, that font is not that much bigger and isn't a different color and doesn't have a background to it or anything. So it's really easy to kind of scroll past that little one, that bit that says second level order ability, and not realize you're supposed to be picking from that list. You know what I mean?
Yes, I actually did have that same thing when on the first read through. It's like, oh, I get all of. No, you don't get all of them.
No, you don't. It's
one
there's
per subclass.
There are delineations, but it's hard to see and another great example, if you scroll down a little further, after the second level Paragon abilities, the text then jumps up to the right half of the page where you get the third level features. If you're just scrolling fast and looking, the third level features bit almost looks like the text on the left side might be related to it, but it's not. But like if you're not realizing how it's ordered, you might not realize that. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like the headers get mushed into the text a little too much. And so that can get it. And the abilities themselves are a little easier to see because they have that little tab art piece on the edge, but there's so many of them that they get mushed into each other sometimes. So yeah, there's a little bit of like a formatting weirdness.
Yeah,
it's not the end of the world. It just means you have to read a little slower.
Yes, you'd have to pay a little more attention.
Yeah.
And it is daunting for sure. Like even knowing what I know now as I was reading the classes, my eyes started to subconsciously skip around because I'm like, there's so much to take in. Like, how do I get it all?
If you're not actively making a character in the moment, yeah, you're gonna feel this urge to like jump past things, but you will actually you will lose your spot really easily. You will be like, wait, fuck, where was I?
I don't entirely know how they could remedy this. I mean,
I don't either.
I think 5e did it perfectly, right? You get all your basic class shit, and then there's a subsection where you get your subclass shit. And I know you get a lot of shit with your subclass in this.
Yeah.
But maybe worth a try with the book's already out, but
yeah, the book's out. I mean, the one other thing I would really like to see is just a little bit a little extra like pizzazz on the headers bits to make them stand out. Like if there was a little bit of like if there was like a yellow background to the bit where it says like second level features, third level features, if there's like a background color to it or something to just make it pop forward a little bit more, I feel like that would help.
They could also try just coloring the text, and I know like that's more for printing,
coloring text,
but
yes.
If you colored the text by each subclass, so it's like, Judgment is a Paracon feature. I know it's not actually, but let's say it is. That would be red or gold,
right?
And then like the Oracle is blue, and then the Exorcist is like purple.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. All right, we're gonna have to stop there.
We only hit classes. This is nuts.
Yes, sir.
And I purposely didn't talk that much to let you do your thing, and we're still only on classes.
Yes, sir. Well,
fuck.
I feel like we're also not done talking about classes necessarily. I feel
No,
like
we're not.
We gotta come back around to it. Plus,
Brother.
because I'm sure you have some shit to say to throw in there too. So
Yeah, a bit.
I mean, classes are gonna be the meatiest thing. Because once we get past the classes, it is gonna be a lot of like this works like D&D.
Yes,
There's gonna
that
be a
is
lot of
true.
that.
Yeah. Like the most of the general rules about combat are almost identical to 5e with some interesting minutia.
Yes, and the minutiae is worth talking about, but yeah. Plus the little bit where you have to go before class. Although a lot of that's just like explaining how AoEs and shit work, but I will go over them briefly. The ability rolls. We do have to explain how an ability roll works. That is relevant.
Yes.
But anyway, we're done for now. Obviously, we're gonna be coming back to this game because we're still not done talking about it yet. Clearly, I wasn't expecting us to be fair, so it's fine.
How do you want to do this then? Do you want to just take over until we're done, or
Let's discuss not on recording.
okay, fair enough.
Yes. This has been us. We're heading out of here. Brett's probably gonna tactical nuke our houses for giving him another big chonker to deal with.
To be fair, we're not at 2 hours and 30 minutes yet.
Not quite, but we're real close. So let's shut the fuck up. Give us a follow on the social medias in the description. Yay!